So I haven't written a speech, so there we go. Do as I say, not as I do, girls. First of all, thanks so much, Natalie, and come in, Jessie. I don't know where Alison is. I think she was waiting. Alison, where are you? I don't know. Was it year 12? We were thinking who could launch the book, and your name came up, and we thought that was very appropriate and right, and I was very delighted that you did launch the book for me and be prepared to front up for this. Thanks also to the library and to UBS for coming. It's really nice to have you so willingly want to do this. I particularly want to thank my sandwich makers, some of whom are here. They are the reason the sandwiches are so good, and so good were they that Jackson, my dog, again managed to eat a whole tray. Despite me assuring the girls before we left the house that no, the dogs would not jump up, and that if we had the chairs against the table and we had the sandwiches in the middle of the table, the dogs would not get to them. McKenna says, or Philip said when they got home, a chair had been pulled out. And I want to thank my family and my friends for all the support over the past year, and it's lovely that you have come along tonight and helped me celebrate this. Some of you are somewhat mentioned in the acknowledgements at the end. It's always the place I turn to when I first pick up a book to see if I recognise any of the names. And after I finish, I would like to just thank the babes once again and give them a little something. Bloodlines. OMG. I have never, ever struggled to write a book like I have with this one. You ask him. He knows. He's lived it for 15 years. I think the title is very apt. Blood, sweat and tears. I've read sometimes to some of my students Liber Bray's analogy that writing a novel is like a love story. And that idea that when you first meet your lover, you can't help but talk about him all the time, or talk about her all the time, to the distraction of your friends. And you know, and then it gets to a point where you kind of sense that the relationship's waning and you're not quite sure why. And in it, she has this bit where she says, don't tell anybody, but my book is stupid. And then a little bit further on, she has this little refrain, it's a stupid book and I don't care, it's a stupid book and I don't care. And my family can testify to the fact that I would get up from the table and go, this is crap! This is crap, crap, crap. I'm a crap writer. I hate this book. It's crap. And I know it was crap because the first 60,000 words I sent to my editor and to my agent, they thought it was crap too. And I had to rewrite it. 60,000 words. And were they going to shift the deadline? Oh no. No. The deadline was not shifted. And my agent said, you know, he is not acting like a king, he's wandering around the castle crying and wringing his hands. And I said, well, kind of that's what I've been doing for the last 6 months. But I kind of slapped the boy into shape and decided to get really mean and dirty mean. And apparently it's very good. I started reading it and I forgot that I wrote it. The only thing I noticed was that Rosie and Blair go off and they leave the castle with 2 horses, and halfway through the journey they only have 1 horse. But that's okay, they found him because by the time they came back to the castle there were 2 horses again. Now, I'm not going to explain what happened to that other horse. This is not about the horse. I can explain why that happened. It's because I actually had 2 different stories when they had gone off in 2 different times, and the publisher had pushed those stories into one event. So continuity. So it's great that I have people like Joe Fielding who, you know, sends me little messages, you know, call continuity and complain. which I love. And the book is actually dedicated to Jo Fielding, who's standing over there, extraordinarily mean and nasty, wonderfully supportive friend and text reader, and to her husband David. Now, where is David? Is he hiding somewhere? Where are you? Over there. Don't, if you're writing a book, especially a historical book, do not go round to the Fieldings' place for dinner and mention something about your book, because David will go, "You do know, don't you?" And then he will go on, and I'll have to go, I have to go back and change what I've written. And the other person I'd like to thank is Dr. Shogaman over here, who very kindly gave up some time to listen to me, and I'm sure you must have thought I was very bizarre with the questions that I was asking, and made things very difficult for some of my characters, because although this is not strictly historically accurate, because like I say in the beginning of the book, Shakespeare and I don't care, I wanted there to be a sense of authenticity, and that was good, because you know, you've got to make it mean for your characters. The girls were not as involved, I think, in the writing of this book as they were with the first one, mainly because NCA Level 2 is really hard, and they did at the beginning give me, like Vicky and Josh, my agent and my editor, some very good response. But one of the wonderful things in having the students in my class, both my year 9s right through to 12 and 13, is they are patient in listening to me rabbit on about a problem I might have, and they know the story and they own the story so well, so it's been really great. And Adelaide, down over here, has actually written a section. You can recognise it slightly, can't you? Because we kind of mucked around with that's what publishers do. But I really appreciate. I've never been to Scotland, let alone Iona. Adelaide has, and Adelaide is in my writing group, and she's a great little writer, and I asked her to write me as if she was painting me a picture of being and travelling to Iona and being there. So I think I'll just read you a bit. So I'm going to borrow one of your books, if you don't mind. One of the things about historical fiction, I think the reason this was so hard is I had to read as much as I wrote. I hate writing historical fiction, ironically, because you have to do research. You actually have to find out stuff. But sometimes you find out really interesting things. So I won't tell you which of the interesting things are part of this story, but Rachel, who is the princess, she is in the house of William of Normandy. I'm sorry, guys, I've read this bit to you. But this is William who becomes a William the Conqueror. The Duke and Duchess of Normandy's sanctuary, it turned out, could be called a rainbow room, for it was filled with exotic prints, startling colours and gilded artefacts. Rachel saw that one of the wall tapestries was very similar to the one that hung in Glam's great hall. She pointed to it. "We have something very similar to this," she said. Matilda, that's William's wife, stood beside her. "It is very old," she said. "It was a gift to my great-grandfather, who was himself the great-grandson of Alfred the Great, King of England. My father gave it to us as a wedding gift." William snorted. "To remind me, I am certain, of my bastard line and your royal one. Matilda shook her head as she made her way to a chair. She eased her thick body. This woman was always pregnant. She had 11 children. She eased her thick body into the soft cushions and ignored her husband. "It is a sore point with William that my father and I at first did not wish to accept his offer of marriage." They seemed so comfortable with each other that Rachel wondered at this comment. "But you seem so in love," she said. "Indeed," William agreed. "I love Matilda with all my heart." He went over to his wife, picked up her hand and kissed her gently on the inside of her wrist. He sat in the chair next to her and signalled to a servant who came with a tray of wine. The servant offered the refreshments to Rachel, who shook her head. She needed to be alert to fully appreciate this conversation. "What is your story?" she asked, her curiosity piqued. "I'm surprised you've not heard it," Matilda said. "It was quite the scandal." Rachel shrugged. "We were somewhat preoccupied with troubles at home." William sighed. "Yes, these past few years have tested us all." "To our story," Matilda said, looking at her husband. "Which version shall it be?" William grinned. "You always make me out to be a bully. You always make me out to be a snobbish wench." "Well, you were," he declared. William, William, the Duchess chided, you paint the wrong picture for the princess. I had not met you then. I had only heard that you were a somewhat determined young man. True, and I was determined that you would be the best match for me. Rachel interrupted their almost private discussion. Pardon me, but how did you know this to be true? Their looks flustered her. What I mean to say is, how did you know Matilda should be your wife? William rubbed his jaw as if thinking on the question. Then he reached out to Matilda and held her small hand in his massive one. The first reason was practical. I needed to marry into the royal house to secure my position. It was as frankly political as that. Secondly, I had known not only of her beauty, but also of her intelligence and strength of will. I desired a companion who would complement my leadership skills. But finally, it was her first refusal and her response to my anger that secured my determination that she would be the best woman to become my wife. What happened? Rachel asked, amazed at the honesty with which the Duke was recounting the story. I pulled her hair, he responded with a cheeky smile. Have you not heard that when a boy likes a girl, he always pulls her hair? Matilda laughed and hit her husband lightly on the arm. Tease. Yes, Rachel, the brute actually did pull my braids and pushed me to the ground. Rachel gasped in horror. I know, a terrible thing. So I did what any self-respecting, well-bred woman would do. She paused, her eyes twinkling. I stood up and, despite my stature, kicked him soundly and firmly in the private parts. So that's a little taste. Birthrights coming along a bit. Bit of a problem there. I was going to end the series at 1066. Publisher said, no, he'll be too old. I want the whole thing wrapped up in 3 years. So all the stuff that I set up in this book for the third book, I had to go back and change. So I don't end the Battle of Hastings in 1066 because apparently that's cliched. Although I thought it would have been really good for Fleance to kill Harold with a crossbow bolt through the eye. But anyway, I have something harder in store for my characters. So it gets darker before the light comes. And I have to say this was the perfect thing. McKenna asked me yesterday, what one thing could she do that would make me happy? And I said, read the book. Because nobody in the family has actually read the book. It's because they know what happens. Anyway, I started to read the ending, the epilogue of Bloodlines to McKenna, who knows the story. And she said, what is he doing that for? I thought he didn't love her. And I said, I carried on, and I read the last 3 lines. She went, what? No! Ah, that's so cool! Oh, no! Okay, I like that. I hope you do the same. So, thank you. More to eat and drink, and I will go and grab myself a glass of wine, and I'll be here signing books. But could the girls please come up and receive their presentations?